Okay, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the TMossBoss show. I don't know why I feel like I don't know why it's the good episodes that I think like, oh man, that's a really good idea. And I'm like, wait a second, have I done this before? I feel like I've done this. I feel like I've done this episode before where I've talked about like my history and becoming a fan of wrestling. I don't know. It's a lot better than what I originally wanted to talk about and stuff. So yeah, I don't even care. But yeah, we pretty much remastered version of if it is, but if not, then yeah, to new things. So I done forgot to turn down my TV, so y'all probably was hearing a PlayStation 4 music going off in the background. I feel like I made that mistake before and just didn't even realize it, but yeah, it's like I'm glad I caught on to that right now than rather than it being like I don't know how long this episode is going to be. I'm going to try to make it as long as possible. I'm going to try to like remember everything I possibly can of wrestling. So anyways, starting off with my first few memories of wrestling. I remember I think it was my dad, because I think my dad, I remember he was really into wrestling when I was much younger, when I was a kid. So, yeah, I remember because I think him and my sister, I don't know if it was like some other family members went too, but my sister, she still has this like old, when it was WWF, and she has like an old ticket of when they went to SmackDown, and I'm like, wow, I would have loved to gone to that, like, and I think it was like, I don't even think it was, yeah, I was like, I had to been like 7 or 8, so I probably would have been a wrestling fan long before that and things, but no, I remember that, I remember like seeing that ticket a lot, and then I remember my dad had got me a, like wrestling, like one of them like wrestling toys where they give you the ring and a couple of wrestlers. I think one of the wrestlers were The Rock, and I think it was like one of them like voice things too, so I think I had like a Rock like action figure, wrestling figure thingamajigger. I don't know what they overall call it, but yeah, the Rock toy, and then yeah, the ring, and I'm trying to think. Did I have Mankind or Mick Foley? Some people might know him as, but I think I might. I don't know. I think I might have had that. I might have had him too. That was about it. But anyways, yeah. Then I didn't really know what it was because I wasn't even a fan. I didn't start becoming a fan of wrestling until I think I was either 9 or 10. So yeah, I wasn't really like into wrestling at that point in time. But anyways, so then I remember then there was a time I was like, I think I was flipping through the channels, seeing some women mud wrestling and stuff, and I'm like, ooh. Like, you know, little kid, you know, you see some stuff like that going on TV, then you kind of curious at the moment, but then that was it. That was like, that's when I used to live at these apartments, and that was like, I think one of the last few things I think I might have seen in wrestling and stuff. So it wasn't until I had moved, and then when I got my own room and then got my own TV, then I was like, yeah, I was constantly flipping through the channels every single day. Like, that's why, like, it was, man, summer vacations when I had got my own room. And it's like, because prior before that, it was like it was a 1-bedroom apartment. So me and my family, we all slept in one room unless we decide to like sleep out in the living room or something. But yeah, we all slept in one room. So anyways, but no, when I got my room, then yeah, I was constantly like flipping through the channels. And what show was it? I think it might have, no, I'm trying to think. I think it was SmackDown. I think it was either Raw or SmackDown where I had watched that first. And I think because I think that's what I had seen. I remember, I think it was like, it was the pay-per-view right after WrestleMania 23. And it was when Batista had speared Undertaker off. And at the point in time, I didn't know who any of these guys were. But when I had seen that, they had me convinced. I was like, whoa. Like, cause I grew up watching a lot of like action-packed movies, guys jumping off of things, slamming on stuff. Like that stuff it's entertaining, it's interesting, and so I seen that, and yeah, immediately got hooked into wrestling. Immediately got hooked onto it. Was constantly trying to like, cause I didn't even really know what it was at the time, so I'm like thinking, oh, is this a daily thing? Like, what are they? when is wrestling come on? Like, I want to know more about this and stuff. So I remember when I had like when I tried like knew the schedule when Mondays was of course Monday Night Raw, and then they kept switching on and off with ECW and SmackDown because ECW I think originally it was coming on either Tuesdays or Wednesdays, and then they switched it to one of those days. I can't remember exactly what, but then I remember SmackDown. It was coming. They switched it back to where it's now Friday Night SmackDown. But before it was like it was Tuesday Night SmackDown, Thursday Night SmackDown, freaking all these different days, and I'm like, bro. Y'all need to stick. I hope this is the last time they change it. Like, leave it as Friday Night SmackDown. That's all that we need. Oh, that's it. That's all I'm asking for. So, but here's the problem. It's like I was like, still kind of like a kid and stuff. So, of course, you had like a bedtime schedule and things. And, they want to wake up being all tired for school. But that was the thing. I was like, I didn't care. I'm a very energized person, so I'm like, as long as I'm running around and standing and not sitting and laying down for a long period of times, I don't have to worry about falling asleep or, getting tired. Like, that's honestly like the cure to being tired. Constantly move. Keep yourself busy. If you lay and, of course you're going to be falling asleep, so I'm like, as long as they don't be doing no boring stuff in school, and I'm like, I ain't got to worry about nothing, but anyway, so no, but I was just like, I think I was like definitely trying to like convince my mom as much as I could, like, can I stay up and watch wrestling? Like, the match is gonna be good and stuff. And then I just really like started becoming a fan of Batista and Jeff Hardy. There wasn't really too many wrestlers I was fans of. Like, I really was just interested in watching them. And then because Jeff Hardy, I can't remember where Jeff Hardy was at during the time I had started watching wrestling. I don't think he showed back up until maybe it was 2000. Maybe it might have been 2006, that same year I started watching, or the very next year. But I remember I missed it when he swanton bombed Randy Orton from like a part of the whatchamacallit, like the stage area and stuff. And so I missed that and was kind of upset about it because I'm like, dang, I just want to watch wrestling, bro. Like, I don't know what I did. Like, I don't know what I did wrong to just not be able to watch this entertaining TV show. Like, I just want to watch that. And so, from there, I can't remember when I started watching, like, wrestling, like, all together. And, because, that's what I was doing when I had, like, the schedule thing, the, like, sleep schedule and stuff. I think it was, like, maybe, like, 9. And so, right, I'll have to watch wrestling for an hour and then get ready for bed. And I'm like, bruh. And I was like, that was the thing. Like, I had my TV. I could just put the TV on mute and just watched it. I just might have not been able to hear nothing, but I'm like, hey, just, watching and stuff. But, I was like, man, I was missing a lot of episodes. And so then I started watching more and more and more of it. And then I started, like, getting used to just watching it, like, as a weekly thing. And then WrestleMania 24. That was the first WrestleMania I've ever watched. Because I think because I was like, I remember I think I had watched it in 2007. And then, but it was like, I think I might have seen something like prior before. Then it was like right after WrestleMania 23. Then that's when I like started kind of like paying attention to wrestling. And so I remember I was trying to look for WrestleMania 23 in stores. Because, I don't know if they still do that, but after a pay-per-view or WrestleMania, it'll come out on DVD. So, I don't know why, because I started thinking about it, and I'm like, the WrestleMania, because I was over at Target looking for WrestleMania 23. I think I might have seen WrestleMania 21, and I don't know whether it was like I seen 23, but then it cost too much, and so I seen 21, and I was like, oh, I'll just get that. But I'm like, what happened to WrestleMania 22? I feel like that WrestleMania 22 has some good matches and stuff, and so I'm like, I didn't even see that there in Target, but I'm like, they still had WrestleMania 21. That came out like 2 years prior before I started watching wrestling. I'm like, it wasn't no problem. I really did enjoy WrestleMania 21. Actually, one of my favorite matches from it, because I ended up like, when I got it, I ended up watching the whole thing. But, I ended up, my favorite match was Batista versus Triple H. Batista demolished Triple H. I was like, that's why I was like a really big fan of Batista, because that dude, like, who he overall became in wrestling, it was a very, very beast-like character. And then, of course, like, when LimeWire, when it was a thing, I was, like, downloading, like, WWE, like, moments and clips and videos and stuff from there. And, yeah, I was, like, really, like, a big fan. Like, then, then to, like, 2008. 2008 and 9 was, like, the prime years of me in wrestling, because 2008, I was, like, I watched my first WrestleMania, like, of course, in the beginning of the year. And, from there was always watching it. Then I seen that they were coming out to Seattle, to the Key Arena. So I'm like, oh, I gotta go to it. And so my dad and my mom, they're calling up, like, I think it was Ticketmasters. They're calling them up and going back and forth, like, seeing which seats and stuff. And so I think my mom had, like, closer seats. We were going to be in the third row, and the call had dropped. See, that's why you don't call off of a Sprint phone, because Sprint, their connection, I kid you guys not, we had to stand in certain parts of the house just to talk on this, like, because my dad went through Sprint, so he had to talk in, like, certain parts of the house. He always had to call somebody from the living room. He couldn't be in the kitchen. He couldn't be upstairs. He couldn't be anywhere in the, like, the texting, okay, like, if we were texting Ticketmaster to get the tickets, oh, no problem, but to call, Sprint, they wasn't really on top of that and stuff. So anyways, the call ended up dropping. We lost out on those third row seats. Ended up getting put on hold, and then I think we ended up getting, like, in the 20th something row and stuff. So we were far back, further than where we would have been and stuff. Most likely, I think if we were in that third row, most likely you've been on TV or something. And if I was, I definitely would have saved that moment and things. And so anyways, but I wasn't and stuff. So that, I think it was October. It was either October 6th. No, I think it was it might have been October 6th or October 8th. And it was a Monday Night Raw. Then that's when we ended up going. And I'm so excited. It was like me, my dad. I think it was just me and him. I'm trying to think. I think it was like, then it was like a few of my uncles and then my cousin. And then it was me and my dad when we went to, because it was that following year, 2009, No Way Out. I ended up going to No Way Out too. And that was the last time, like, of No Way Out ever being, like, shown and stuff. And so that's why I was like, that's like kind of like special to me, because I'm like, I went to the, like, very last No Way Out showing, which is now they call it Elimination Chamber, but back then when I was younger they called it No Way Out. So anyways, went to No Way Out, and then was like, that time around I was like, sitting with my family and things, and so it was much more funner, like getting into arguments with my uncle about who's better, Shawn Michaels or JBL, because at the time being, I think they had a rivalry, because why did my Xbox just turn on? I swear my Xbox be acting weird sometimes. But anyways, I think they were wrestling. And then, Randy Orton and Shane McMahon, that's who they were going up against. Because, it was like the McMahons versus Randy Orton at that time. So, that rivalry was pretty good. Then Shawn Michaels and JBL. Because JBL, I think, before that at SummerSlam, he punched Shawn Michaels' wife in the face. And so that was crazy. Kid me, he sees that. He's like, wait a minute, you're not allowed to hit women. Why did he do her like that? But then I started watching. It's like the more and more I started watching, like, wrestling, and I'm seeing dudes, like, body slam. Who was that one? She was like, she passed away not too long ago. R.I.P. to her. But she was like a well-known woman wrestler and stuff. And so I don't want to refer to her. Honestly, that's the thing. Like, that's like a fun fact about me. I can't remember where I seen it, but you don't refer to a woman as a female, even though that's like what they are gender wise. But I can't remember where I seen it, where it was like, when you refer to a woman as a female, it's like disrespectful. So I'm like, you know what? Just to like not get on any like woman's bad side, I am not going to refer to her as a female. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know how it's bad, but I'm like, it's like, I almost said it. I'm like, no, I don't want to call her a female wrestler. I mean, even though, like, that's what they would describe her in a way, but I don't know. She was a wrestler that was a woman. But she was well known in the WWE and stuff. She'd been wrestling, I think, since the 70s or 80s. I can't remember when. But anyway, she was very well known. But I seen there was videos of dudes body slamming her in the tables. Then Randy Orton, he RKO'd Stacy Kibler. I don't know that girl's last name. Kibler, whatever. But anyways, he performed his wrestling move on her. Like, sometimes them guys be doing some crazy stuff in there. And I'm like, yo, y'all need to chill. Like, I think Randy Orton, I don't think Randy Orton ever did kick Stephanie McMahon in the head. He did kick Vince McMahon in the head. I'll never forget when I thought Vince McMahon had died. They showed a segment where he got into a limousine and it blew up. And then like kid me is like, yo, a man just blew up in a car. Like, what happened? I started telling everybody in my in the house. I was like, yo, Vince McMahon just died on TV. Everybody's like, what are you talking about? How did he die on TV? I'm like, the man got into a limousine and the whole limousine blew up. I don't know how something like that even happens, but yeah, the limousine blew up. I don't know what happened and stuff. So yeah, it had me shook when I was a kid, and then I was like, it was like at that point it was like then he came back, and I'm like, okay, now what is this? Like, kid me is like, what is this? This man comes back and he just out of nowhere, he's like, I wasn't really like watching wrestling all the time during when that had happened, but I remember the next time I did watch wrestling, they showed where he came back and then his daughter was, I'm like, but he blew up. Like, I don't understand. How does that even happen? Then like my whole family, they're trying to convince me, oh, he probably got out on the other side or something. I'm like, but it blew up. Regardless of if he got on the other side, he's still going to be affected by this car blowing up and things. So I'm like, yeah, something ain't right. Something is not right with this picture. And so that's when it started, like, I think when I started learning it at a young age that wrestling can be a little fake at times, but it's still entertaining. I don't care what anybody says. And people always say, like, that's one thing that I feel like I need to debunk with wrestling is when people say that wrestling is fake. Yo, those guys be getting hurt. Those guys really be getting hurt. It wasn't too long ago, there's this one wrestler named Seth Rollins. He broke his leg performing a wrestling hold or wrestling move. And you can't fake a leg being broken. You see it on video. So so they call the corner, I don't know, like, people know this or not, but they call the corner of the ring the turnbuckle, like, area and stuff. So he was standing on top of it, and he went to, like, flip over the wrestler and, like, power slam him, or not power slam, power bomb him. That's the proper wrestling term for it, but he went to power bomb him, but when he came down, his knee had went in. So he, like, kind of slid over the wrestler a little bit, like on his back, came down, and when he came down, his like knee had went in. So I think he dislocated it or it full on broke or something like that. But yeah, that's real. What other things? Oh yeah, then there is another, I think I've talked about this before, but there's this one wrestler named Joey Mercury, and it was it was like in this like ladder match. Speaking of, because I always remember I was buying like a whole bunch of like WWE DVDs and stuff, but then once I started getting into YouTube more, I was like, oh, I could just find all this stuff on YouTube or LimeWire. I don't need to buy these things anymore, so or ask my parents to buy them. So I'm like, all this stuff can be on YouTube and things. So anyways, yeah, plus WWE started posting like the clips of all that stuff on YouTube, so they just made sure they got their money. But then there's yeah, you can't just watch all this on YouTube. So yeah, I didn't know that at the time. My apologies for wasting money. But anyways, no, it wasn't a waste. I should bring out all those DVDs and just watch them and stuff. But anyways, no, there's this wrestler named Joey Mercury. So it was him and another wrestler that was fighting over a ladder. But then a wrestler, once again, turnbuckle stuff. That turnbuckle activity, it really mess a wrestler up. It seemed like they really be getting hurt in that area and stuff. So, but anyways, the wrestler, he didn't get hurt, the one that did the jumping, but Joey Mercury. So the wrestler jumped off of the turnbuckle, slammed on one ladder, and when he slammed on it, it came up and hit Joey Mercury in his face. Now, these are real ladders. It wasn't no fake ladder and stuff. This is a real metal ladder. So anyways, yeah, that messed his face up. He started bleeding really bad. It was like, It was bad. His nose was shattered. His eyes was swollen shut. Like, and I think he came out in some interview because I don't know. I don't know if he did wrestle after that. I don't think he did. But yeah, I think he did maybe for a little bit, but then he ended up doing like some background stuff in WWE because I remember the next time I seen him because he had like long hair when he got his face smashed in with the ladder. But next time I seen him, he had like a bald head, was wearing the suits, and he went from like wearing wrestling tights to suits and stuff. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, that ain't the same guy I was watching when I was a kid. No, that's not him. So anyways, yeah. But no, them wrestlers, what other situations have wrestlers gotten hurt? Yeah, they show it all the time when wrestlers be getting hurt. Nobody doesn't really be paying attention to it, but who was it? Finn Balor. I think that's what they call him. Finn Balor, tomato. But anyways, he got power bombed into like the like things that kind of like block the fans from like interfering with the, I don't know what they call it. It's one of the like, you know, like it ain't a wall, but it's like a cushioning wall, but to keep the fans in and stuff. But anyways, a wrestler had power bombed him into that and dislocated his shoulder. He's still continuing on with the match, but he ended up having to forfeit because he won the title and everything. But he ended up in the very next night having to forfeit the title, and then yeah, because I think they say he was like the first like Universal Champion and something like that. But he had to forfeit it, and so he wasn't even allowed to like keep it for that long. And I'm like, dang, that's messed up. But what other things? Like, yeah, wrestlers, it ain't fake. Like, them wrestlers really be like beefing with each other and stuff. I just watched this video these like videos today. It was like of wrestlers that hate the boss and the boss that hates wrestlers and wrestlers that's no longer allowed in WWE. And yeah, it's like a lot of like some like stuff be going on in WWE and things. And so yeah. They yeah, it's like people they think that stuff is fake. It is not fake. Them guys, I mean, they're like day-to-day like stuff that they be showing on TV, you know. It's a show. It's like Broadway. It's like, you know, they just doing some performance and things to entertain people. Like, you know, like that's all we ask for. We don't ask to be judged for like watching. I remember like there's like full-on kids like judging me for watching wrestling, but I'm like, y'all don't realize these wrestlers is making bank for jumping off of ladders and all that. They look cool when they do it, and there is grown men till this day. In fact, the wrestlers are grown men still wrestling, and then there's grown men watching them wrestle. People get entertained by that stuff. Like I'm saying, like if you judge people for watching wrestling, like okay, then you go and tell them about a show or something that you watch. Everybody's gonna be judged for something that they watch and things, regardless if it's wrestling, football, basketball. Like there's the one coworker I remember, he would always, when we would talk about like football or basketball, he always would like chime in and be like, oh yeah, watch like, you know, barbaric men fighting over a ball and things. I'm like, bro, we just get entertained by it. Like I'm sorry for talking about basketball in front of you. Like yeah, we guess we won't talk about that no more and stuff. But then he's a fan of like Call of Duty, so as he's judging us for being a fan of basketball and football and all that stuff, there's somebody judging him for playing video games. And then that person, they probably like plays and stuff. So they go to plays every week and then be watching plays. And then they get somebody's judging them for that. And then that person's probably a fan of golf. They get to like, it's a line. It's just like a constant like a domino effect of, you know, it's just like the dominoes is going to keep falling and things. And more people, they just going to be interested in stuff. So me, I'm interested in wrestling. I love wrestling, okay? Like, I'm always, like, I remember, I'll never forget, I think I talked about this before. I Googled WWE headquarters phone number. I think I might have been, like, 11 or 12 at the time, but found their phone number and called them, and I asked them, how old do you have to be a wrestler? And I think the woman, I can kind of, like, now when I think about the phone conversation, I can like, hear the woman smiling. Because she was all like, this high-pitched voice calls me. Like, I hope that made her day. I hope that made her happy. Most likely, whoever that woman is won't remember and stuff. But, yeah, I was like, I called them. And I was, as a kid, I was so ready to be a wrestler. I was buying magazines, books, watching videos. Like, I was prepared. If WWE would have, like, 12-year-old, 13-year-old me, if WWE would have came to me and said, we would like to offer you a contract to, you know, wrestle for us and things, oh, I would. In a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. If they had like a minor wrestling, they should have. They should have. That had been funny. Watching some kids wrestle. But then them kids kids would have really got hurt and stuff. So they like jumped off the turnbuckle, slammed on their chest and started crying and things. Then the referee, he got in the match and stuff. Like, then it's like, then the other kid, he's uncomfortable and he's all like, bro, I ain't gonna fight no kid if he's gonna be crying and stuff. So, because kids, kids think that stuff is real. I think once you get older and then you kind of pay attention and stuff, because no, wrestlers, I ain't gonna lie, wrestlers sometimes be botching like their moves and stuff. Because who was it? I think it was Hulk Hogan. It was somebody, but they had one wrestler by his head and was getting ready to like slam his head on the ring. But he moved to like the other wrestler didn't even slam his head yet, and the guy like slammed his head all on the turnbuckle thing, and then or not turnbuckle, but on the like side of the ring, and the guy didn't even like put his hand in that motion to like hit his head. So the dude was like, What was that? And so just recently the one wrestler, he was supposed to he was like, so I guess what was supposed to happen, what I read, was that a wrestler was supposed to grab his leg and trip him from like going off of the ropes and jumping off of the ring and slamming on some wrestlers. But he went too fast, and I guess the other wrestler didn't make it in time to grab his leg. So he ran, jumped, and the wrestler didn't even know he was coming and slammed just clean on his back. So, but the thing is, though, I'm pretty sure them wrestlers are probably used to it. But yeah, it most likely hurt. Like, that's something where I'm like, nah, you ain't gonna get up from that. That most likely hurt. So yeah, that's why I'm like, sometimes I be seeing them wrestlers getting messed up and things. I'm like, dang. They have to be in some real pain. That's why if I was a wrestler, them guys probably would have seen me right before my match, just straight up, just chug down a Red Bull, slap myself across the face a couple of times, punch a wall, most likely hurt my hand in the middle of that punch, and then eventually go out there and stuff. So, what other times in wrestling? Oh yeah, there's the one, so there's this wrestler named Big E. At that time, I think he was going by Big E Langston, but it was him, this woman wrestler named AJ Lee, and then there was this other wrestler named Dolph Ziggler. So they're all walking out. Big E, at the time, Big E Langston, he's like swinging his arms back and forth, accidentally hits AJ Lee across her, like, it didn't really look like he connected with her her bodily breast part, but it was like he overall hit her, and it was a hard hit because how he was stretching, he's like swinging his arms back and forth. I guess maybe to pop his shoulders or something, I don't know. But when he swung his arm out, yeah, just straight up like hit and connected with her. And the thing was that kind of like, because they overall tried to portray AJ Lee as like this crazy girl in wrestling. She just looked at him and smiled. I'm like, yo, that was like, I mean, it ain't like this Big E guy. I mean, you can tell by the name. He's a big dude. So he, I'm like, it wasn't like it was somebody like me that hit her across her. Because she probably would have just like, she probably would have did the same thing, just looked over and smiled. Or she probably would have laughed. She was like, that's really how you hitting and stuff. Like, that ain't going to hurt anybody in a fight. But anyways, but when he did it, I don't know, I've been on like just, okay, like I forgot something in the background. I'm like, tried to text one of the other wrestlers. I'm like, hey, can you just like come out and attack me so we can eventually just run in the back? Because I'm like, my shoulder is gone from Big E hitting me across my shoulder. Like, that shoulder is shut. I don't even remember how she was in that match. Or she wasn't even wrestling. She was like managing and stuff. So she was just out there as like moral support and stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty sure she didn't like move that shoulder, arm, or anything. But when she just looked up at him and smiled, I'm like, yo, she gonna kill that man. I mean, he's still alive today, but she probably told him in the back, like, when you least expecting it, I'm going to hurt you. And yeah, AJ Lee, it's like it ain't like she's like, you know, like a big muscular, like, you know, woman and stuff. I think there was only one wrestler to be like that, and her name was Chyna. Rest in peace to Chyna. She passed away some time ago, but yeah, she that would have been one. She was like lifting dudes, slamming them, and there was another wrestler that was like that too. Her name was Beth Phoenix, and yeah, I'm like, those would be like two wrestlers. I'm like, if I had to go up against the both of them, I'm like, I just laid down and say, y'all can just overall pin me because I know I ain't getting out of this alive. Because it's like if I engage in a fight with them, then people are going to be all like, oh, you hit a woman. Then I'm like, then that's a loss for me. But then it's like, if I like try to fight, but then I mess up and then he then lifted me up and slammed me on the mat, then I'm like, yo, this dude, he over here getting slammed by a woman. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, there's some strong women. I'm like, I think a lot of people wouldn't fight them and stuff. So, but no, them guys, it's crazy how some of them wrestlers be big for no reason and stuff. Like, no reason at all. Like, for an example, Big E, like Batista. There's this one wrestler, they just kind of introduced him. This is outside of WWE. Like, I just recently started watching this show, AEW. And they had like some wrestlers that used to wrestle for WWE on there. But AEW, I will always be a fan of WWE. It's like one of the, like, I remember when there was another wrestling show called TNA Impact. And I think that show is still on today. But anyways, I remember some of my favorite wrestlers. For an example, one of my favorite wrestlers, Jeff Hardy. I remember when he went on that show. But I did not watch TNA. Regardless of who they had on there, I didn't watch it. There's this one wrestler there, it was like this, it went viral, this video of him performing one of his wrestling moves. But yeah, I was like, yo, he's a really dope wrestler. But I'm like, if he goes to like AEW or WWE, that'll probably be the only time I'll watch him. Because I don't know, it's not that I got like problems with TNA Impact, but I was, as like growing up, I was very, very loyal to WWE. I'm like, I'm only watching WWE. I'm not watching TNA Impact and stuff. I think there was some times when I had watched it, and then there were some clips that I had watched of it. But I'm like, no, the only person that's going to be getting 2 to 3 hours out of me is WWE, nobody else. But when AEW came out, that kid that was watching WWE when he was younger, that kid woke up and was like, yo, you have to watch this. And yeah, ever since AEW started coming out on TV, because I think before it was just one of them like promotions that was like a wrestling, because they got like a lot of like different wrestling promotions. They got like New Japan Wrestling, then of course WWE, TNA, AEW. What are some other ones? They used to have like some like indie ones, I guess, like for wrestlers to get started in. There was one that was OVW and then FCW. But I think those were bought out by WWE. And yeah, I think they were like, cause yeah, mainly WWE wrestlers came out OVW. Maybe other wrestlers did too. I don't know. But anyways, what are some other ones? I don't know. Those are the ones that I knew off of the back of my head. So, but yeah, WWE, I've always been like a loyal fan to them. So I'm like, I cannot watch anything else other than just WWE. But AEW came out. I'm like, I'm sorry, WWE, but I don't know. Like, I know people ask me like, who would you overall sign up with, WWE or AEW? See, here's the thing. Like I said, I'm a very, very loyal fan to WWE. I overall will always watch them. I will always respect that company. But AEW, like, I kind of like the hype with them. Like, I know I might have not been making as much money, but I feel like that definitely would have made a name for myself in AEW rather than WWE. You see so many different faces go in and out of WWE. Like, there's wrestlers that I'll think of and be like, dang, whatever happened to them? Turns out they're either retired. I remember it was sad. I was looking up this one wrestler named Umaga. And I was like, because I hadn't seen him in the longest. And I looked up his name one day to see what where he's been. And I seen that he passed away. And I'm like, dang, man, like, yeah, I seen that because I was like, yo, he was another, like, beast wrestler and things. Like, that dude, that'd be one wrestler. There's, like, wrestlers I wouldn't cross, and then there's wrestlers that I would cross. Umaga, if he would have been that wrestler, I'd definitely been on his good side. I'm like, bro, let's talk about this. Like, before you even engage, let's talk about this, okay? Because I'm like, I don't know. I'm trying to think, was he a fast dude? I don't know, but I'm going to just say he was a fast dude. He looked like he could have been a fast dude. But anyways, 300 pounds, pure anger. Okay, I'm like, let's talk about this. Okay, like, come on, man. Like, don't do this. Like, we ain't got to do. I had tried my hardest to, like, talk out of a fight with him. But No, it's funny though when some of them wrestlers be talking about like how they gotten into fights outside of wrestling and things. It was the one wrestler, Big Show. And that's a story that I really love of Big Show's. I like a lot of like wrestler stories. They talk about like outside of wrestling and stuff. But Big Show, his to me, it stands out the most because I think it was like some guy was trying to challenge him to a fight and things in some bar. Big Show just was like brushed him away. But I think he said that the guy had like sucker punched him or something like that. I think that's what he did. But anyways, yeah, Big Show, he said he started chasing the guy. The guy tried to get in his Jeep Wrangler. And, yeah, Big Show ended up flipping the guy's Jeep over. And I was like, wow, just Big Show. Like, it's only Big Show. See, and let me tell you guys who Big Show is. Big Show, they call him Big Show for a reason. But he is a 7 foot tall, 500-pound guy. Now, I don't know, like, I ain't trying to be disrespectful, but during his, like, time frame of him being, because I think he's lost a lot of weight since then. I think he's lost, like, maybe 100, 200 pounds. So, but now he's, like, he just really looks just like a muscular guy. Like, I mean, he might have, like, you know, a little bit of percentage of body fat. I don't know, I ain't trying to be rude to the guy, because I'm like, yo, he still is 7 feet tall, and he's still big. Somebody like me, that's, like, 5'8", 5'9", and yeah, and then I'm like, I don't have like 500 pounds of muscle behind me. Yeah, Big Show definitely, if he can flip a Jeep over, like, come on, sit down and think about it. Like, somebody would have told me to fight him and things. I'm like, I will take a metal bat and try to hit him with it. But if he grabs the bat, we have to run as fast as we can. There ain't no fighting him. Like, there's just, like, unless, like, this man, if somehow he slips and falls, or no, somehow the spirit of Bruce Lee gets into me and stuff, then I might have a slight chance of being able to beat Big Show. But if the spirit of Bruce Lee is not in me, then yeah, no. I highly doubt that an engaging fight would happen between me and Big Show. Like I said, there's other wrestlers I would cross, but not him. That man, he might be 40-something years old, but now I might be 20-something. I might have like 20 years like under him and things, but I'm like, I just would not cross him and things. But what else can I talk about with wrestling? Yeah, I'm always going to be a wrestling fan. Most likely when I have kids, I'm going to tell them about wrestling, and they see me watching it a lot. I'm like, yeah. I've been watching this for years, and most likely going to watch it all the way like up until my final days on earth. Like, I'm always gonna be a dedicated wrestling fan. I love wrestling. Wrestling's just, it's a part of me. Like, it's something that I just can't shake off. Like, I might not be engaged into it like I was when I was a kid, because I mean, like, I like that first WrestleMania that I watched, WrestleMania 24, and it was the match where Ric Flair retired. I'll admit, I got a little teary-eyed during that match. I really did. Like, they showed that match right before this previous WrestleMania. I tell you guys, because I don't know, like, if people have been like wondering like how the whole coronavirus has infected the wrestling world. Oh, it has. For the past few weeks now, there has been no fans in the the crowd area. So they've just been wrestling with no fans, no crowd, and it's pretty weird. AEW, I do like what they're doing. They're having wrestlers portraying as the crowd and stuff. So I'm like, okay, that's good. But WWE, no fans whatsoever. Not even one. I'm like, at least have like one fan there. If they just like, that's what WWE, what they should do. Have like, choose a fan of like selection, have them file something, and then just have it where it's like they get flown out to just be that one fan in the crowd. I would be so down to do that, because I'm like, yo, just having nobody there, and overall, like, the wrestlers, because that's the thing, like, this is what these guys, like, what they do, like, they, like, practice, train, and so now they just gotta pretend that it's an actual wrestling match. And so, yeah, this past WrestleMania, not having no fans there, and these guys, they usually be performing in front of like 70 to 100,000 people at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is like the Super Bowl of wrestling. So going from that to going to zero, that's wild. That's wild. So yeah, that's why this coronavirus has really messed up the wrestling world. But regardless, I don't care what they got going on, whether they got fans there or not. I'm still gonna watch wrestling. I'm like, because it comes on tomorrow. I'm planning on watching that too. I plan on watching it for as long as I possibly can. So until they either take it off of TV or until my final days on earth. But I'm always going to be a wrestling fan. So anyways, that has been another episode of the TMossBoss Show. I need me some water. Mouth was getting a little dry. But anyways, yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. It's been another episode of the TMossBoss Show. Thank you guys for watching and or listening. If you're new, if you're viewing this on YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're viewing this on the podcast streaming service, make sure you follow or subscribe, however it's set up. And if you're purchasing tickets from SeatGeek anytime soon, make sure you use my promo code TMossBoss, and it will knock $20 off your first purchase. So, that being said, talk to you guys later. Thank you for watching and or listening, and peace.